For me personally, the enemy used my desires, and one of those desires was relationship and wanting to have a relationship. And that's like both romantic and like friendship. I used to be a person that would want to do in order to gain relationship. I didn't think I was good enough on my own as a person, as a woman, as Bianca. So I felt like I needed other people. I felt like I needed validation from other people when I didn't have God. And so obviously I have such a big heart. And when it comes to the type of person I am, I just give when I'm in any type of relationship, whether that's friendship or, romantically. I am just a person that I'm all in any relationship. I desired relationship so badly. And I think this is a desire that a lot of people have. And the reason why it was so exploited and it's so heavily influenced by the enemy is because the devil knows that little empty space inside of me was actually meant for God to fill with the right people and the people that are assigned to his will for my life. Psalms 139 talks about how every page of our book of the story of our life was written by God. He wrote it all out, and it's just us that God wants to show us and have us realize. A lot of times we live our life, things are a lot more harder, a lot more difficult, and we take a lot longer to get to certain places because we're outside of God, right? And so we're not letting God lead us at that time. And so, can you imagine, like, so many people are not really who they're supposed to be or where they're supposed to be because they've just been guided solely by their own desires or others' desires for them, or they've been so guided by, idolizing certain things or people. And that's what they've been guided by. To understand what it is, the beautiful thing that happens when we give God everything. He will do a work in us. Like he did a work in me and really had to wipe the hard drive clean of everything I thought I knew about relationships, about me, about Bianca, about life, about my life, about the direction that my life was going, about the direction that I thought it was going, about all of the things. He had to like wipe the hard drive because my mind was carnal and my mind was dipped in carnality because, I grew up in church and I called myself a Christian just because my parents went to church every Sunday. And so I went to church because they went to church. But that does not guarantee for me that I was in alignment. I was completely out of alignment with God's will for my life. What does that mean, being in alignment with God's will? It means allowing God to navigate your life, being the captain of your ship, so to speak, on the journey of life, the ocean of life, right? That is what is required as a believer. When you give your life to Christ, God will begin to purify those desires that you had before that were so easily being able to be manipulated and exploited through or by way of the influence of our temptations as human beings, the influence of the world, right? As human beings, God has to now wipe like I said, the hard drive, and he has to do an audit of your heart. He has to do an audit of those desires. And like I said, some desires may stay, and those desires that stay are the desires. For example, say like you are you are like a music artist, or you're in some kind of creative area, that you were doing music that wasn't glorifying God, or that was not assisting the kingdom, to build the kingdom, to advance the kingdom, to win souls for the kingdom. You were making music. You either do what you do to build the world, or you do what you do to build the kingdom, God's kingdom, and advancing heaven, advancing winning souls for Christ. So you were a secular music artist. You weren't using your gift and your talent to its full potential of what it was truly meant to be used for. Then you give your life to the Lord. That desire to become an artist, a music artist, you were gifted and talented. That desire ain't going to go nowhere because God gave you that gift and that talent. So that desire is not going to go anywhere. That is what you are truly called to do. In this audit of desires, in this purification of the desires, that is going to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. But now it's just being redirected to the right purpose. Now that's just being redirected into God's will and in alignment with God's will.